So in Halo 2 there is a secret switch, but it's not anywhere near the playable area and it's floating in the air. So, can we activate this secret switch? Let's give it a shot! So in Halo 2 on the mission High Charity, halfway through the mission you come to this big large energy bridge hall area. I have no idea what this is called. Quite frankly, I don't know what anything in Halo 2 is called. The big purple thing that would fit about 50% of the objects, you know what I mean? Sorry guys, I'm fired up today. I'm in a very bad mood. But anyways, in this giant battery chasm area, there is a floating switch. And this switch is actually activatable, but it's really close to the outside map barrier. And there's nothing really around it. And just below this is a very cool area, which is the bottom of this giant purple chasm battery map area. This is actually one of the coolest rooms, in my opinion, in all of Halo 2 and all of the Halo franchise. So I had two objectives. One was to get to this switch. But two, I wanted to do it from the bottom of the map because I'd never actually been down here before. Is it possible to do it in the normal confines of the game? I have no idea. Let's find out. So my first idea was to get down there as a dead player that's alive. And if you watch this channel regularly, you'll know that I'm talking about the dead or alive glitch. This glitch allows a player to be trapped in a dead character model's body, so you can push them into some interesting places. My objective was to push them into that giant pit. But first, I'd need to get them in that state. Now, a couple of months ago, I did a setup similar to this when I tried to get to the cut warthog run outside of the map on High Charity. And the first step in that... One second. Bless me. Thank you. So for our first... Bless me again. Thank you. So for our first step in this, we are going to need an energy sword off of one specific flood at the very beginning of the mission High Charity. From here, we then need to take out every single enemy in the beginning area except for one. When all the enemies are cleared in this area, it triggers an automatic checkpoint, which we were going to be saving. Now, because of the way that this mission is set up, normally brutes get hit off either side of the initial bridge onto lower ledges. Now, these lower ledges are actually above the map's bottom floor map barrier, which means that the brutes will stay on these lower ledges and be alive until you kill them. To make sure that the brute actually landed on this lower ledge, I activated the feather skull. Within like 5 seconds of mission start, you should be able to see whether or not the brute gets hit to this ledge. And I found it's about a 50-50 shot that he does get hit. So after making sure that I had a brute down here to be my checkpoint forcer, I now needed to move an object in front of the doorway into the next section of the mission. The reason is, we're going to use this crate to kill a player and turn him into a dead body, but we'll get to that in a second. After setting up this crate in front of this door, the player with the sword, player 1, needs to go stand in the cockpit of the Pelican. Once they're here, the second player then needs to make sure they're killing both the brute and themselves at the same time. Okay, now I'm waiting for a checkpoint because player 2 just killed the last enemy and himself. There we go. After activating the checkpoint, we have to continuously swing our sword until we set up the crate in the next room. There are enemies in this room, so once you get in the crate here with the enemies, the second player won't have the ability to spawn in. Instead, in its place, because there's nowhere for this player to spawn, this player will be an invisible biped. This biped is displayed as a little blue orb of light, and if we take the box and hit this light, the second player will die. Then, once I clear out all the enemies in this area, they'll spawn in as a dead body. Okay, got a checkpoint, that's good. Now, I need to push him till later. Need him to go up the lift. So to get to this giant open area, I now needed to transport my dead body all the way to that room. But my next challenge was the giant lift. Uh-oh. Now you have to go up this massive lift in order to get to this room, and there is no getting around that fact. But I found out dead players can't go up the lift. So I restarted the checkpoint and thought, well, what now? I had spent over half an hour trying to set up this dead or alive, and really I saw my only option is I had to go up the lift, and if they spawned in as an alive player, I was screwed. Well, I don't know what's going to happen to him down there, but we'll see. I think I'm going to have to restart, and then I'm going to have to delay my checkpoint after he dies all the way to up the lift.
That'll slow them down, I hope.
Oh, he's up here. So initially my goal was to hit this dead body into the giant chamber, but I couldn't get him out of this little round cup thing. And then I hit him through it, but this turned out to be a good thing. He flew all the way into the bottom of the chamber that I was trying to get in. Well, that's funny. He's actually exactly where I need to be. He went all the way through the map to the bottom where I was trying to get later in the mission, where beneath the bridges. Check it out. This area is so sweet. Now that I was down to this area, I needed to get to the very bottom of it. But I wanted to do it with some style points. So because I didn't have the Acrophobia skull on, I had fall timer enabled. And with this, I can try to corner ride the 90-degree angle all the way to the bottom of this pit. After a few minutes of attempts, I nearly made it. But in the OG graphics, it's really hard to see down here because it's really dark. Usually the Halo 2 Anniversary texturing doesn't line up with the models on the OG. This means that the corners that you usually touch aren't the true corners. But it matches up pretty well on this section of the mission, and it's actually far easier to do this in the Anniversary graphics.
Ooh, easy money.
That's actually a lot easier in the Anniversary graphics.
Surprisingly, usually OG is super great for corners.
Texturing is terrible. So now that I had a solid way down here, I now needed to shift my focus to getting to the switch. In order to get from this giant chamber to the switch, I was going to need a lot of height, and my first idea was trying to use 4 active plasma grenades to get there. Now at first I just wanted to test to see how far I would go with this, but I forgot that I didn't have overshields, so I died immediately. I then tried to see how much height 2 frag grenades would get me, and again I forgot I didn't have overshields, so I died immediately. I could save the testing for when I got down there, but now I needed to transport my dead player roughly to the area under the secret switch. But first, I had to get him in the hallway to get him to the bridge so I could do that. And the stupid cup did not want me to get him out of it. I once again hit him down the chamber, so now I just needed to die, spawn at the bottom, and then go find a way to set this up. Now I had one pretty big obstacle in the way. I couldn't foresee a way to get this dead player down to the bottom of the map, then die, spawn down there, but still be able to get a checkpoint. And because I was going to need a ton of height to get to this secret switch, I would have to figure out some way to do this, a way that was actually replicable.
So I believe that the secret switch is over here.
The switch is pretty small and hard to identify, but after doing this, I now needed to beat my dead player through the map so they would spawn in as an alive player. I had the Pinata skull activated, which allows you to beat plasma grenades out of your teammate. I also had the streaking skull enabled, which when activated, gives you up to double overshields, and each time you throw a grenade, gives you a little bit more health. After hitting about 13 grenades out of my teammate, I stacked them into a small pile, and my idea now was to throw a plasma grenade at this pile, jump on top of it, and then launch all the way up to the switch. I threw a bunch of grenades so I could get myself up to double overshields, and I was ready to do this. But I threw a dud on the first one. My plasma grenade was too far away from the stack of plasma grenades, so it just bounced them all forward. Luckily, I had a second chance. But it wasn't close. Now, not having a checkpoint was really screwing me over at this point. I could easily get down there, but getting back up and then repeating that same attempt and being anywhere close to the switch was a completely different story. I hit a crate off the edge down here and then tried to throw 2 grenades under it at the same time by overcharging my weapon. This also didn't work, and I lost the crate because it went flying immediately. Then I tried throwing multiple grenades at this flat wall, trying to jump on them as they were exploding. I got some height, but not nearly enough to get up there. I then tried it a couple more times just to make sure that my launch wasn't really bad, and I found similar results. This method was just not going to cut it. Now, because I didn't have that checkpoint, I had to turn this into a scuffed run. I put on the Acrophobia skull, because now I just needed to see if it was possible. I already knew I could get down there, so if I just put on Acrophobia, I could actually obtain a checkpoint. And I wouldn't use it for any of its flying abilities to do this launch, but I needed to see if it were actually possible. I'd invested too much time into this. You can get to the bottom of this map even without doing the dead or alive glitch if you have the Acrophobia. This is despite there being death barriers right below the map. If you fly out far enough and close enough to the wall, you can then follow the wall all the way down the path because for whatever reason, they didn't extend the entire death barrier to the whole open area. And yes, I realize I'm just flying past the switch. Oh, why couldn't you just activate it? Because that's not cool. Okay? Anyways, now that I was down here, I needed to set up my grenade pile. I beat about 30 grenades out of my teammates, stacked them into a pile, and threw a bunch of grenades so I could get up to double overshields so that I could actually survive when I lit the fuse on the stack of plasmas. I then had my second teammate fly up to one of the platforms above and activate a checkpoint. Now, I was ready to try to launch up to the switch. So quick interjection right here. The reason that I died on the way up this time is because there's only a thin sliver of area by the wall that isn't a death barrier. So anytime you see me going up and I clear everything, I'm actually clearing past what is basically an invisible tube. After about 10 minutes of doing this, I hadn't really come close to hitting the switch, but then I almost hit it. I knew it was just a matter of time at this point. Boom! Bottom to top. Oh my gosh, you can't see anything up here. So this was actually a secondary accomplishment that I didn't tell you guys about earlier. I wanted to land the bottom to the top on this map. I believe Hark the Shark was the first one to do this, and if I can find the video, I'll put it in the description below. There's a whole area that you can explore up here, but it's really dark and hard to see. I made it to the other one. Kinda. Boom, did it again. Let's actually take a peek up here. It's crazy how dark it is. Sick if there was like a skull up here or something, but you really gotta watch where you're going because, again, it's really dark. Oh, I hit it. I hit it. Oh, completely forgot. You might be asking yourself, what does the switch actually do? And, well, the answer is simple. Nothing.